And like YouTube likes brightness apparently. Oh well, I'm gonna try like very bright and then you tell me if you hate. Hello! It's me. I've been wondering if after all these years you'd like to meet. Hi and welcome back. Today I'm here with my 4 months worth of a wrap-up. So in August I read, as you know, there was the booktubeathon, and so I have a video which I will link here or down below of my wrap-up of the booktubeathon. I read 5 books in that booktubeathon, and then I read other 2 in the end of August. I think it was still the end of August. First I read Every Day by David Levithan. It was really good until the end. And then the end kind of ruined it a little bit for me because it was unconclusive. And if you know me, you know I hate unconclusive endings. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but I really enjoyed it. And then I heard there was a new book about the story coming out, which is, I think, Another Day. And I was, oh my god, this is the sequel. No, it's the story from the point of view of the girl. And I was like, no, I want the sequel, not the same story from another perspective. So then I read another ebook, My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick, and I really like it. It, for what it's worth, it's a contemporary YA book, and for that it's amazing. It has character development and romance, really well written, and family and like problems within the family and drama, and it's really good in its category. So I gave it 5 out of 5 stars and I really enjoy it, and it's a really good book for the summer, or if you like contemporaries in the winter you can also read it because it's cool, it's good guys. And I really want to read like the story about the other guy which came out like I think last year or something, that is The Boy Most Likely To or something like that. Yeah, I'm really interested in that one. After reading The Rosie Project during the booktubeathon, I thought maybe I should read The Rosie Effect, which I bought. So I already had the book, so I thought, let's read because I love The Rosie Project. And so I read The Rosie Effect, and it was disappointing. It was really confusing. The plot went everywhere. They were always angry, and not what I expected the book was gonna be, and I got really frustrated. Gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and yeah, if you don't want to read it or if you don't own it, just leave it. Read The Rosie Project and end up with your heart melting for this character, and don't read the second one. Don't. Then after that I read The One by Kiera Cass, and this is the 3rd and final book in the Selection trilogy, and for what it's worth, this trilogy is really weird. It's really not feminist, and it's really weird about women, and this is like a contest, and it has a dystopian setting, but then it doesn't explore it, which pisses me off. But the Elite was so weird. It wasn't good in comparison to the first one. And then The One really like brings the goodness that this trilogy has back, and it ends in a really good sweet and sour way, which I like and approve. And I don't want to read the Air at all, and I'm just gonna stick with The One and that story, and that's it. But I really enjoyed it for what it's worth and for the ending that it gave to the story, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then between that book and the next one, school started, so I have some mandatory reading that I had to read. And one of those books I had to read was this classic, which is King Oedip. I have no idea how you say it in English, but King Oedip by Sophocles. It's this Greek classic, which is a play, and it basically starts the Oedip myth, and it's tragic and sad and weird, and oh my god, how can you be so stupid not to see the truth before your eyes? And we had to it was okay. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was nothing special. It's Greek classic. Next I read A Legend by Veronica Roth. Oh my god, scream with me, I finally read it and I actually enjoyed it. So before you start screaming at my face, I know a lot of people hate the ending of this book. It's slightly inconclusive, but at the same time it was the only inconclusive ending I didn't mind, because it's not like it's completely inconclusive. It just doesn't. It's not a happy ending, but it is conclusive though. Like that phase of that history, that phase of that time period, that revolution, whatever, ended, and then there will be a next one, but you won't see it because the protagonist is not there, so I won't spoil anything, but basically I already knew before I got into the book what was gonna happen because everyone spoiled it for me. I bought this book when it came out and I didn't read it at the time, which is stupid. And then I watched book reviews and wrap-ups and people told the ending, which is annoying. But I really enjoyed it and... oh, my battery is about to die. I really liked the double perspective. I didn't mind hearing from Tobias' perspective. So that was also different from what I've heard about. Like, people don't really appreciate Tobias' perspective. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I think it was a really good conclusion. That's what I've got to say. And I can't wait for the movie. I just noticed I've spent the most of the time of this video looking at myself. So I'm gonna turn this screen around. So... entering November, and I've read 2 amazing books and one that I just had to read for classes. So let's start with the one for classes. I read a Portuguese book called A Implosão by Ana Julis, and the author is going to be at our class this Tuesday, so we're excited for that, but yeah, nothing to say. It's supposed to be very good, but I find no enjoyment in reading this book. What can I say? No, there are some people who think that good books have to be hard to get into, and some people, like me, think that a good book should also be enjoyable to read. So, that being said, I give that book 2 out of 5 stars, because, oh well, don't care. Then I read 2 amazing books that basically changed my life. So, I was already familiar with Jane Eyre. I've watched the 2011 movie with Michael Fassbender, and I really enjoy it. Like, in the movie, they were my OTP. They're like up there with like Jane and Bingley, and then I read the book Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and my life has changed. I love this book. I deeply identify with Jane, which is something that I was slightly aware of, but then I read the book and it's like, it's right in my face how much I identify with her. Obviously the beginning is a little bit harder to get into because it's when she's like younger and it's very sad, but it's not as hard as I was expecting it. Maybe because I read it in Portuguese and not in English, which is now my goal. Next year I intend to read it in English, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It went straight to my favorites pile. I'm sure I'm gonna reread it many times in the future. And after this I watched the 2006 adaptation with Toby Stephens and Rachel Wilson, I think it's her name. Yeah, I'm ruined forever. And Rochester and Jane Eyre are the shiz. They are perfect. Oh my god. And then after that I was in a very big mood for Victorian novels, especially with the good OTP. So after watching the 2006 adaptation of Jane Eyre, I watched North and South in a day. That's 4 episodes as well. 2004 version of BBC with Richard Armitage. So yeah, I already love that miniseries. Is one of my favorite series of all times. BBC did it amazingly, and I've mentioned it a lot of times in my class. I have a class which studies English culture in the 19th century, and the teacher was very proud. And then I was like, I have the book, why haven't I read it? So I picked up the book, North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, in English, in the Penguin English Library, which is beautiful. Guys, Thornton though, Mr. Thornton, it's such a complex and moving character. He's so strong-minded and sometimes stubborn, and very hard person to talk to in like his professional life, but then in his personal life he's such a mother's boy, and so like, oh, nobody will love me, I'm not worthy of anyone, especially not Margaret, and Margaret is so stubborn. I love Margaret. But I like Miss Thornton more than I like Margaret. And in Pride and Prejudice, I kind of like both of them equally, and I want to be Elizabeth, and I don't want to be Margaret, because Margaret is very prejudiced, which obviously Elizabeth is as well, and Darcy as well, but you know what I mean. This is like 50 years after that. And I once read a description of this book on Goodreads, which says Pride and Prejudice for socialists, and it's a really good description. It has a very interesting chapters of discussion about the conditions of workers and the people at the time. But the parts where I was like, oh my god, was when Thornton was trying to... There's a lot of passages where Thornton, you can see that Thornton is completely falling in love with her, and it's so heartwarming and beautiful and so cute. So I definitely recommend North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I want to read more Elizabeth Gaskell in the future, maybe Mary Barton, maybe Wives and Daughters, still thinking about that. But yeah, and I want to read more Bronte sisters as well. So yeah, this went straight to my favorite Spyler as well, and it was a 5 out of 5 stars as well, and I loved it. Those were all the books I read in those 4 months. I hope you enjoyed this very long wrap up. I'm sorry. All my media stuff is down below. You can check it out if you want to. I hope you do. You can subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you soon in the next video. Goodbye!